Hi friends, it's Victor Costa and welcome to the Daily Lift. I hope you're having an outstanding day and I hope today's podcast makes it even better for you. So this was a trying week. It was a week of challenges. It was a week of low energy, a week of strange news out there and a strange vibration in the universe that somehow managed to get a hold of me. Now, I'm not used to feeling like this. I'm used to feeling in sync. I'm used to feeling really, really good. But I wanted to share with you some of the remarkable things that happened over this past week. Now, the first day, let's say it was Tuesday, I was walking around and nothing was going right. Like I said, I was out of sync with the universe. Things were happening that were just incongruent with what I want, but certainly congruent with how I felt. I was feeling low energy, low vibration, and just generally lost and a little bit out of sync. And I was walking around, and I didn't want to bring the energy back into my home and into my house that evening and affect the rest of my family. So right before I came home, I was looking around for evidence of having had this particular day, and how was I going to shake this energy before I got into my house. So I'm walking in my neighborhood. I'm about 3 blocks from my home, and I see a car. I see a Camaro, and that Camaro was the same make and model of a Camaro that I had been in a pretty serious accident with many, many years ago. And I recall the accident. My girlfriend was driving. She ran a stop sign. We were hit sideways by another car and thrust into a telephone pole. At that point, the engine had kind of moved forward and shifted toward the passenger side of the car, which is where I was sitting in the front, along with the dashboard. So essentially, the engine moved forward and the dashboard kind of collapsed forward onto me. The amazing thing is that my body somehow, at the point of the accident, contorted around all of this energy, and I was able to fit my body around the dashboard as it collapsed. My gut sunk in, my body moved forward to create this vacant space for the dashboard to kind of fall into me. And it did not touch me at all. In fact, I emerged from the car unscathed, and I remember the police asking, "How did you get out of the car?" And I just said, "I don't know, I just opened the door and walked out." And they intimated, and at the time I was quite young, they intimated that that shouldn't have happened, meaning that I shouldn't have been standing here. And I see the same make and model of the car as I'm about to walk into my home, and I'm looking for a reason to shake that energy, and I found it. And so this is typical. It sounds mysterious and it sounds a little magical, but it's not. It's looking for evidence of your wellness and looking for evidence of how everything has a purpose, even weird things like accidents and car accidents, and you really don't understand how they mean something until you actually can look back upon them. So let me share with you what happened the following day. I think you're going to like this just as much. So the energy was still with me. That night I did come home and I was able to shake the energy and get through the night without infecting my family with my terrible biorhythms. But the next day I was still feeling the residual of that. And I called my wife and asked her to walk home with me. I didn't feel like walking home alone that night, and I rarely do that. And so my wife and I are walking. We are walking on 42nd Street in New York City, a very crowded area. And we are standing right next to each other. Suddenly I recognize that a bird has pooped on me, on my hand, on my clothing, my jacket, my shirt, and my pants, and my hand. Yet, my wife, who is standing next to me, in fact, we were holding hands, has no bird poop on her at all. As she digs into her purse to find some baby wipes to wipe me down, and we're standing stationary while she takes care of me, I realize that I'm actually standing in gum. My left foot is completely stuck to the ground because I am standing in a wad of gum, the likes of which I have never seen before. And so at this point, we just laughed. And my wife said, "You had better change your feeling and vibration immediately, because I'm actually afraid to walk home with you if you don't." And so this was the universe showing me evidence of how I was feeling instantaneously. It wasn't, karma. People talk about karma is coming around. It's not like that. It happens instantly and immediately. Whatever you are feeling, you attract. And so I recognize that this is not going to get better unless I change my state. So then I walked outside just to feel the sun. No agenda, not thinking about anything. And I was walking and just basking in the sun and how wonderful it is, and recognizing that even summer is quite uncomfortable sometimes and hot, that it's not here for very long, and I just wanted to feel the sun. And I stop and I see right below my feet is a beautiful gold ring. And I find this ring. And so again, the universe is showing me evidence of well-being. It's showing me when you feel good, good things happen. When you feel bad, don't expect to attract other than what you are feeling. And so I needed this lesson, and I needed to share this with you. And these are things that are real, that are actually happening to me on a daily basis. Because although I'm in this role of teacher and mentor to a degree, I am a human being who's vulnerable and has faults and flaws. And it reminds me of a story that I had heard about the Dalai Lama, and I may have mentioned this in a prior podcast. And someone asked the Dalai Lama about a story, and he had said to him, "Hey, do you feel things like the rest of us feel? In spite of being so enlightened, do you still feel things like regret, remorse, sadness?" And he said, "Well, sure." The Dalai Lama says, "Of course, let me tell you a story." And when he tells this Western reporter the story, he says a monk came to him and asked him about these various yoga poses. The Dalai Lama said, "I don't think those poses are for you. Those poses are for a young man." Upon hearing that, the monk who had asked the Dalai Lama about the yoga poses commits suicide. And the Western reporter said, "Well, how did you get over that? How did you somehow get through that or get over that?" And the Dalai Lama says, "Well, you're not supposed to get over it. Why do you think that you have to get over anything? You don't get over anything. It becomes a part of you, and it integrates into your life." And as I play the role of teacher and mentor and guide to a degree, I am still living my life as a person who is seeing continued evidence of well-being, and having that congruence with how I feel, and also seeing evidence of illness depending upon how I feel. And that's all the more important to remind you to be the guardian of your thoughts, to guide your thoughts, to steer your thoughts towards what you want, which is wellness and peace and harmony and tranquility, and do your best to feel that and to get evidence of your well-being on a daily basis. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I wish you all the best and good health. Please have continued good thoughts. It's a practice, but everything you think will come to you. And that works both ways. So be mindful of that. Victor Costa signing off for the Daily Lift. Have a wonderful day.